Good morning. All right. Okay, so yesterday turned out to be a bore for the most part. If you were long, most took profits or held on to some. And so where are things headed today, possibly for the week? I don't expect much here, and several reasons, which we'll go over. So we'll go through these markets one at a time, as we always do. We'll look at the futures and see. Dan will go over whatever stocks. Good morning. Good morning. What do we have up here? We got the transports, which showed relative strength, and they're not doing much here this morning. They have room to move higher into this void. You see this sharp vertical drop there. And so we've cleared this, what looks like a head and shoulders type of a bottom, and into the void. And we'll see where today brings. I think initially, from what I've seen so far, I think it's going to be a go nowhere day, chopping around, but it's exactly what we need in the short term anyway, because as you'll see, the majorities, or what we finally call the idiots, are all in on the long side. So we need a little chopping around to crush those options a bit, and then odds are we can go higher. Morning. A lot of things look somewhat similar, but the transports obviously was showing relative strength. And so far, unless prices break below this area here, the assumption is they'll chop around and work their way higher up into that area. So we'll see how that goes. Spiders gapped up above the 200 and the 50. That was great, but gapped into this area of major resistance. And our discussion yesterday was, okay, is that a professional gap or a novice gap? And you should hear me, George. I guess you don't if you're typing sound there. But let me type in there. I think everyone can hear me, right? Yeah. Yeah, maybe you have to unmute, something like that, whatever. All right, so novice gap, right from the get-go, prices headed down, 5-minute low, and down she went and stabilized and came up a little bit in the afternoon. And so we've got this gap up day with this unfilled gap down here. Well, let's just move this green little line up there. Ideally, that gap does not get filled, but we'll see. We'll see. Here's the pre-market data. I don't know what went on here, if that's real. We'll cut this bar that whipped around there, but we'll get a better look at that when we take a look at the futures. In any event, what we will have is some choppy price action between here and here over the next, at least today. Tomorrow the market's closed. We'll see what happens by Thursday, Friday, of course. But ideally, we get some chopping around here that builds a new base. And that tells us a couple of things. It's in an area of resistance. It's coming up from the low right up to the high, which makes this a trading range. In a trading range, many times, prices go right back down to the bottom of the trading range. And clearly, that is bearish. Based on the end of year rally, theoretical, the Santa Claus rally, the move off of the low here, China and the US are playing nice for the holidays, and so on. The ideal scenario is to chop around here a little while. This absorbs the supply over here, and it tells us that buyers, demand, are not afraid to buy up here. They're confident. They're willing to take shares that are being sold, and not necessarily just people that bought here and want their money back. Of course, that's always part of it. The other side of it is that traders, funds, whatever, they're just going to short here. Why? Because there's price resistance. Prices go from support to resistance. Short it. See what happens. If it doesn't go down, cover, go long. So what we want to see, well, what I want to see, because I want to see the market continue to go up and get more long exposure, is for it to chop around here, which tells me that, again, those buyers are confident. They're absorbing that supply. It's building a launch pad to push up to the next level. Now, I've got this initial area marked off. That's could be a stopping point, but based on this overall pattern here, it should be able to push up through there. I won't assume that it will. I'll see if it can even get through here first and what happens. And if it does, then the assumption it goes here and then possibly up there. And that is not happening today. So as more information comes, we will assess that and make some conclusions about it. Qs, weaker, not quite up at the low, up at that resistance. Same story. I like the way they're pulling back here. I'm not sure what happened here. If there was some news, I assume so. In any event, we want to see prices pull back, chop around in this area, and do the exact same thing as I explained. That would then have the possibility of pushing up. So, and one of the things that we'll be doing here, of course, in the room is assessing during any corrective period what stocks hold up the best, which ones give it up and fall all the way back, and looking at relative strength and relative weakness. We looked at the Dow. Here's the Russell. And this one had the better looking W type of bottom and consolidation there. And that basically did the same thing as yesterday. Just chopping around, pulled in, came back up. So we're looking for the same kind of price action. This is below the 50. The 50 is below the 200. So just what that tells us is that the correction here has been deeper than, say, the S&P. That's it. No knowledge gained from the across here. It's just obviously there's been a bigger correction here than there was in other places. Dow, pretty much the same as the S&P. Support moving up to resistance. We'll have to see what it does. And you can see on the futures how prices have pulled in a little bit toward the unfilled gap. The converging 50 and 200 are here. Some would view that as being a stronger area of price support. Since prices got through the moving averages, now the moving averages should be support. I don't subscribe to that as an absolute sense. On an indice, especially as you know, in the S&Ps, those are widely followed moving averages, so they become a self-fulfilling prophecy as far as the belief of them having some powers of support and resistance. You can see how buyers stepped up here into the unfilled gap area and rallied up, and so we'll see how this shapes up. Ideally, I'd like to see it pull back, retest this area, build up a little more support, and then we'll see if it gets going here. Qs, same thing. Looked at the QQQ, these are the futures, and move up into the converging moving averages there. Topping tail, and now starts the jiggles. So considering or assuming, having a bias that the jiggles are going to continue, it's going to make for some difficult trading unless you're a scalper. So it's not likely that we are going to get new swing trading setups here. Probably not for at least, well, the latter part of the week is what I would think, which would be in alignment with building up a new launch pad or some type of continuation pattern here to go higher. If it falls down below here, right, down below this area, which is this base right here, well, possibly all bets are off. The deeper it would retrace into this move higher, and certainly below this wide range bar, we'd have to consider longs most likely being something that's not going to work out, and probably sloppy, choppy action into the end of the year. Let's hope not. Dow, same story. Everything looks pretty much the same here, which leads me more to the bias that things are going to be choppy and erratic because we don't have anything that's really out of alignment here. everything we're looking at is in alignment, meaning they've rallied, they've come up to their respective reference points of price resistance, and things are stalled. Traders are saying, hey, show me more. What can you do here? Prices run up sharply. We all think the same thing. Let's buy a pullback. Let's see if it'll base. Let's see if we can get a continuation pattern. Let me see who's willing to buy here and step up, because maybe it's going to drop back big time. And I don't want to take the risk of doing that. So let somebody else do it. Let's see what happens. Bonds are up here a little bit, actually breaking out above this high. And just looking at this now with this reversal here. And so if bond prices are coming up, that means yields are coming down. It's just an inverse relationship, and that is a strong move. The risk here is those short-term yields coming down. Well, maybe the Fed's on hold here. That was what happened last week. Well, that yield curve, I don't have it on this page. I'll bring it up later, George. We'll look at it based on what's happening here. It's a lot closer to an inversion than it is, and it was several months ago or last year, but it's not inverted. And if it does get inverted, the market doesn't top out immediately. It's not inverted, Alex. I'll show you the chart later. The 2 and the 5, maybe. So I've seen that whip around in the past, and it's not until the longer and shorter really we get those inverted. And in any event, the lead time here is months. When the yield curve inverts, you never get the market go down immediately. So it's not a concern in the short term. I mean, historically, that's just the way it is. And so there'll be more clues to deterioration in the market and things starting to fall apart that we'll see. That'll line up with that. And it's not, we'll look at it later. I don't have it on this page, but I guess I have to bring it into this page so we can start monitoring it during these pre-market conversations. And we'll do that. Now, this, right, I mentioned this the other day, that this drop in crude oil here, for whatever the reason may be, who's selling it, just viewing it in a simple way. Well, if there's a lack of demand for crude oil, which is used in a lot of products, well, that could suggest a slowing economy. Now, you don't, just like with any market internals that we look at, we don't rely on one market for intermarket analysis to make a decision about something. So oil coming down is one piece of information. If interest rates come down quite a bit, that is lining up with oil coming down, and then we would see the transports start to deteriorate. And you'd say, well, why would the transports deteriorate? They're showing relative strength here. Oil is cheap. Well, that's what happens as you get into a recession. So those are 3 things to keep an eye on. A good rounding bottom, well, maybe for an intraday trade. All right, so you got the hourly chart here. We've got these dips to the downside. So it's coming down here this morning. If you're a day trader, I mean, I wouldn't even do this for a swing trade yet, not unless it retested this or made a bottoming tail, higher low type of thing. So I would not consider that, yet as a swing. Day trader, I mean, you can trade this from the long or short side, depending on the time frame that you're trading in. Gold moving up. Okay, so we have this information that is kind of fighting with each other in a sense. Okay, so we're not at any conclusive part here, with a yield curve inversion, oil going down, interest rates doing what they're doing, because gold is going up. from one reason is inflation coming? Well, is the economy, picking up enough to where it's inflationary? Well, we have to, let's go look at commodities and see metals aren't going up. Ags aren't going up. So if we see those start to go up, but none of this is making sense as far as inverted yield curve and recession and that leading to a big stock market correction. Those things are not here. So I don't even start getting your head wrapped around that stuff yet. You just don't have enough alignment of all the pieces of that intermarket puzzle to come to that point of view. And so I think we're just going to be pretty much chopping around here, and we'll see what happens next week. But we'll see how everything unfolds throughout today, and look at that accordingly. There's not anything here that's of any real interest as to what's moving that I have on the screen here. There's more stock, looks like kind of even, but some more stocks going down. Netflix. It's going to be difficult. I think even as an intraday scalper, you better know what you're doing. Meaning, even some days, even if you don't know what you're doing because the market's trending, you can get away with kind of a little less experience than what would be required, I think, on a day like today. In any event, Dan, it's all yours. Oh, here, I missed this here. Take a look. I was going to show you our internals. The idiots were all in at the close, which historically is going to put a cap on the market. This is the day-to-day, which typically leads to difficulty, the next day. And yesterday, I told you this was at like 0.6 something. And I was like, this market ain't going anywhere with these people betting on the long side after a gap up into resistance. Our moving average is pushing up into the upper bands here in 0.80. Breadth is pushing up here. So overall, I think the best thing we're going to see here is some choppy price action to work this off. And then we'll see where it goes from there. All yours, Dan.
All right, thanks. Yeah, but that picture also supports some call spreads for Friday. So let's keep that in mind. And just one more thing to add to your yield and gold. I just quickly read this article in the journal today, and they were saying, yeah, they did get steeper yesterday with the long-term falling under 3%, but the 2 and the 5, as Alex were saying, the shorter term ones got more inverted, and he was trying to say that, the slowing economy, stuff you just said. And then that's when people were also then trying to look for gold. And that was another explanation. Spider. Yeah, I'm talking. Yes. Can others hear me? Yes. All right. Yeah, it's Greg saying he'll figure it out. So I was busy as heck yesterday, first 30 minutes, as you know, managing all the open positions. We got out of some of them at full profit, and then covered half on a number of them. Spiders, we covered half of a put spread. IWM, we covered half. IBM, we covered half. SCI, we're long stock. We sold a third into strength. RTN, we covered half. Moss, we are long a half a lot. We're looking, I said we could add over this other high, but it gapped over it. So I'll look for a better entry on that. Home Depot, we covered half. CSX, I don't think we covered anything there, but we have a put spread. A number of our bullish positions didn't trigger yesterday because of the big gaps. The semis were doing really well. Yeah, we took full profit on that LRCX. 8 cents. Why stick around? Now, some gappers here. Yeah, we're in a half of IWM. But you know, it's your own judgment call whether you just take it all. Just move on and wait for a better setup. LEVB, a gap up, but I don't like the way it trades. KRNT gapping down to 2015. It's a bearish gap here, but I don't know what to do. Toll, bearish gap. Yeah, ITB was weak yesterday, but this is in a very wide trading range. So Gustav, depending on how it holds up here, it's a candidate for a wide iron condor. Coup, 66 bucks, gapping down, nothing to do. Earnings, Restoration Hardware, 145 and change, way the heck up here. Wow, that's a bullish gap on the weekly. Look at that, it's just launching over all of this. But there's no, yeah, we're in it. Oh yeah, I did forget to say that one. Yeah, we did a bull put spread. Oh, it actually gapped up this market and coming in. Yeah, we just did the 10.59, 3 weeks out for 21 cents. And if you're not in it, that you have the luxury of watching the 15-minute chart, either to see if it's okay, to see if you can get a better entry, or number 3, to cancel it. So sure, no, it's still acting fine. That's a judgment call again. That's what I did just because it wasn't very juicy. But you know, Tony, we teach how to read patterns, how to pick strikes, how to pick, is it sufficient credit? So it's totally up to you and your trading plan on picking the right strikes for the cushion you desire. And then if it's an adequate juice or not. 106 here, Dollar General had earnings, bearish gap, but nothing to do. AZO had earnings. That's a very bullish gap. My God. I mean, my gosh. 867. Look at this beast. Yeah, Tony, I just said, because that's the juice. That's what I had to do to get juice. But you can do it 1 week or 2 weeks, and you're just going to get less. I can't believe this beast. Wow, that's it. Wow, we could take a lot of time studying this. Wow. What's his cousin? AutoZone, and I always forget because I don't go to auto parts stores. Alex, what's his cousin? AutoZone and O'Reilly. There you go. Thank you. Orly. And he's doing nothing. Interesting. Huh. Orly's doing nothing. Win had on my list from yesterday, but man, I didn't like the air underneath with the market being weak. But if it maybe takes a couple days to set up. Square, no interest. NBEV, we were watching on the daily, weekly. It's going to take some time. Texan was one that we wanted to go long in the stock. I think Andorra put spread, but it gapped over it. GPC, I canceled it yesterday because of the ugly gap and crap. But I'm going to keep it on my list here. Oh, paychecks. This stupid thing stopped us out because I moved stop break even. All right, so we're out of paychecks. And this was one I think I said afterwards, I wish we sold half on the gap up. Intel was a put spread, but it gapped over it. We'll keep an eye on him. LRCX, we took our full profit. LMT, we stopped out with a profit because I tightened the stop. IBM, we have a half. This thing, you know what? What is it? It's a breakout play. But I don't like the way it trades. You're out of here. HLF, we should have nailed it on this breakout bar on a 15-minute setup, but I'm going to keep it on the list. X, I was watching just for a short-term put spread because of the high volatility. SCI, all right, we sold 1/3. Workday, big gap breakout. I'm not chasing it. Look at this dog, marijuana stock. Xilinx was the relative strength award. UNG. I was looking to sell a call spread on this, but I canceled it yesterday again with the gap down. Nothing to do now. TDS. I've kept him on my list ever since this breakout day. And now I'm starting to lose interest in you. Marijuana stocks had a little short-term blip there on the excitement that Gustav is investing in Kron. Tesla, nice gap breakout. This is still a put spread candidate. I like this. If the market and FANGs decide to hold, I like this for Friday. ACB, look at this poor guy. That looks lower. This could easily come to 450. Another $1, which is almost 20%. GE, it's stabilizing. Look at the distance of the moving average with the 20 here. And now it's kissing it. So is that going to go sideways and fall? But the downside momentum has slowed. Google, nothing. Amazon, holding. 100% retracement. And yet a small bullish island reversal right here. Netflix, nothing. Apple, nothing. This is all overhead resistance now in the 15. All right, I got nothing exciting. I have 0 tier 1 trades. None. Wow, that's rare. There's the Kron up again because on the news, what is it, Motrium is thinking of investing in them. Oh, IYT, yeah, we also put spread in this. Well, a little breakout failure there. Should. Oh, we're long stock here. It's finally getting that one actually is an ad. I'm not crazy about this topping tail. That's the bar that we actually got in. But we're still in should. Now I'm going to move the stop under yesterday's low. You know, give it a few extra cents, 65.18. Looking at the markets here, and they're stalled, doing nothing. AMD, a lot of the semis are coming in.